Hello, today I'll show you how to make an interactive clickable PDF. So this is a quick example I've made. And as you see, I have little buttons here, and as you click through them, you change what you are seeing on the screen. And I'll show you how to do it in InDesign. So here I have an InDesign document with the three images I'm going to use. And if you have played around with InDesign, you might know that there is an option to create interactive elements. However, especially in the more recent versions of InDesign, you will find that most of these actually don't allow to export a PDF. So they're more suited to exporting interactive online publications such as EPUBs and others. Since we want an interactive PDF, this is sort of a workaround how to get to what we want. So I'll go here to the option called Buttons and Forms, and it should open up this little box down here. And basically the principle behind creating an interactive clickable document is that you create your buttons, you assign them a certain function. So what happens when you click it or when you roll over it, and then you assign um, those sort of like targets to the images. And I'll do a very simple one first, and I'll build up on it to show you how to create multiple ones and how you can edit the settings to make things happen the way you want. So first things first, I'll just create a very clickable button. It will just be a circle. This can be anything really. It doesn't need to be a shape. It can be a piece of text or even a combination of both. So if I type in click and change it to a different font. Okay, here we go. So I want this combination, the circle I have drawn and my text to be the buttons. I'll group them first. And now I'll go on to my buttons and forms. So if you don't have it open, it's under Window, Interactive Buttons and Forms. And I select my first button and I click under Type. I choose a button and you will see it already creates it. It's called button 7 because I have created a couple more in this document. Previously, I'll just change it to image 1, something like click image 1. You should really make names mean something because once you have more than probably 6 or 7, you'll just forget what they actually do. And I'll click on this image now, and actually what I want to do is to create a button that is the whole image. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I'll explain in a second. So this one will be called image 1. And now when I choose this first button, which will be the trigger, if you go under event, you can choose what happens whether you are release or tapping it, you clicking it. So clicking means if you're just holding it clicked all the time. So release or tap means you just click on it once. Or rollover is when you move your mouse over it, and other options you can read there. And under actions, I have multiple options like I want to do. And as you see, there is no option show image. So we're sort of cheating the system by saying we want to show another button. And this other button is actually our image 1. So I have added this action, you can see it here. And now it asks me to select visibility. So the little cross here means it's just not doing anything to this object. So it's basically showing me all the objects that I have on the page, which are buttons. And I will click, if you click here, you see it changes to a little eye. It means it will show it. Or if I click on the eye crossed over, it means it will hide it. So I want this to be visible. So I leave it like this and this should work. So I'll test it out now. I'll export it just with this one just to see if it actually happened. And actually, that's actually not a good idea because nothing will happen because it will already come out as this page. So what I actually will do, I will select this as hidden until triggered, meaning that this, well, image, which is now actually a button, it will be hidden until I click the button I call it to appear. So I'll go under File, Export. And here it is important to select interactive PDF, not a print one, because obviously print one does not read interactive elements. I'll just save it under Untitled for now. And I do want to replace it. All right, I'll save as a page 1, and you will see this interactive PDF export is a different one from the one you do for prints. So depending on how big your portfolio is and how many pages you have, you might want to export these pages separately and put them together afterwards, because that way you get more control over your basic pages without any interactive elements and these pages, and you can always merge them together as long as you use Adobe PDF. Other compression, I'll check that I have a reasonable quality selected, so you can go for maximum, and points per inch, depending on your page size, you can choose something that's appropriate, and also it's quite easy just to try it out once and see if it comes out right or not, and you can always increase it or decrease it depending on your needs. And I'll hit export. So what we have here is my first page. So as you can see, these 2 images I haven't touched yet. So they just stay as images, and I have this button here, and as I click on it, my image appears. So that's very straightforward and simple, and I'll now do the same thing to the other 2. I'll close the document here. So I will create, can actually just copy this over. So this automatically renames as click image 2, and I'll move it over, copy it over again, and this should be click image 3. And this one will be a new button called image 2, and this one will be image 3. All right, now for this button, I want add an action, and I want to show hide buttons and forms as before, and I want it to show image 2, and actually I want it to hide my image 1, and I want it to hide image 3. What this will do, it means every time I click on it, it will, all the other elements on my page, well, all the elements I have tagged as hidden will disappear, and this is useful if you have images actually overlap. So for example, I want this to appear bigger and sort of like over where the space is for these 3. You can do it, and obviously nothing will be covering, images won't be covering one another, just because you'll have disabled them on here. And for this one, so this would be the click image 3. I will add an action, same way as before. It will show image 3, and it will not show image 2, and it will not show image 1. And I want to also go back to my first one, and I just want to make sure that it's showing image 1, and similarly it's not showing image 2 and image 3. So also what I can do now is I can select hidden until triggered to all 3 of these. However, I will show you what it does. So I'll export as it is. Same way as before, I'm exporting it, make sure it's Adobe PDF Interactive, not a print one. Save it. And I think my settings should be the same as before. All right, here's my page. So you can see it has the 3 clickable buttons. However, this is not the best practice, because in case somebody is using a different PDF viewer, or they're using it online or doing something else, you might want to have something on the page as the page opens, because otherwise, if the interactive elements fail, you will end up with a document which is basically impossible to view because we can't open anything. However, if it exports this way and everything works, what should happen is as you click here, you will see the first one appear. As you click here, you will see the second one and the third one. And I can click back and forth and basically go through my images. And obviously I can have as many as I want on the page. So I'm hoping that this is really easy and straightforward. So I have added a couple labels to my images just so it's easier to know what I'm actually clicking on. And I'll do the same thing I mentioned before, where I will make these images larger so they actually overlap on the screen. Not that way, sorry. So I'll just make them larger and I'll center them. And I'll do this to all three of my buttons. Obviously, for this kind of image, I wouldn't really need to make it that big, but I'm just illustrating a principle. Okay, here it's centered. And I bring it forward. And also, if you're doing this with multiple images, I would suggest using layers, because then it's easier to navigate the page without it becoming too crowded. So what should happen here if I haven't done anything wrong as I export the page? I have the same page as before. However, now when I click on things, it appears large. So you can actually, if it's a more complex drawing a diagram, you can click through them and you can see that the ones underneath disappear. So even though it looks rather messy in my InDesign, as I go onto my PDF, it's nice and clear, and and only the thing I'm triggering shows up on the screen. So I hope this is useful, and yeah, good luck with your portfolios.